Folks, do not adjust your internet routers. You are tuned in to the right place. Do not adjust your television monitors. This is what's happening tonight. The mega powers of podcasting back in action once again for another edition of On the Money podcast, coming to you live from the On the Money Sports Lounge, as only we can do it. It's been 14 long days, but how much has changed since then? Our Super Bowl matchup is set in stone. It's going down. The free agency frenzy is happening. National Basketball Association is playing basketball games for those of us who care, and Major League Baseball pitchers and catchers are due to report in 11 days. But before we get to all that, ladies and gentlemen, I am your undisputed, reigning, defending champion of the On the Money Sports League, as well as the Elite 8 League. And standing side by side with me, actually sitting at the moment, the best tag team partner in the world, none other than the man himself, the man who predicted week in and week out that the Philadelphia Eagles would win their matchups, might I add, for the last 3 weeks straight. None other than Oscar O'Money Muniz.
But I'm a hater.
He's been picking you guys the whole time, yo.
I don't know
what more you want.
I don't know what Drew needs to hear. I don't know what Paul needs to hear.
I don't know.
Drew
said he had
Bobby,
questions.
the whole plethora of Philadelphia Eagle fans that watch.
Are we on the Money Sports page or on your page right now?
We should be on the Money Sports page.
I see the live. Okay. Gotcha.
I have been picking you guys since opening week of the wild card round. I said there's no way the Packers are going to beat them, especially with Jordan Love the way he played the last couple weeks. Then I said, there was no shot for the next team to beat them. I thought the Rams could.
Me too, man.
But
me too. The Rudy Poo Rams.
You're outside in the cold. They're a dome stadium team. I knew it was going to happen. And then I knew last week. I know we weren't live the previous week. But I told everybody leading up to it, there's no way the Commanders are beating them. No. I knew it. Everybody knew it. The only people who think I didn't say those things is because you just want me to argue with you.
Or you just didn't say it in the way that they wanted you to say it.
Yeah,
that's
like
the problem.
You wanted me to go,
Yeah.
No.
There's none of that. That's not happening, all right? That's not part of...
You guys have an amazing run. You need to thank Saquon Barkley. You need to thank Joe Shine
for
allowing him...
Yeah.
For him signing Daniel Jones to the long-term deal, which didn't have money left over for Saquon Barkley to get his extension. Because without Barkley, this run's not happening.
He said,
I need everybody in Philadelphia La La Land to acknowledge that.
He said, you don't pay a quarterback $40 million a year to hand it off to a running back.
Yep, that's making
$12 million.
$12 million.
Do you hear yourself?
And now this guy.
Hey, guess what? Nobody asked you to pay that guy $40 million.
Yeah, you paid a guy who wasn't worth $40 million.
The $12 million makes a lot more sense.
What was the worst that was going to happen? Daniel Jones
you lose
walked?
more?
Daniel Jones walked?
Daniel Jones walked and you benched him.
No one would be mad at the Giants
for
letting him walk. You know what you're doing
right now? You know what we're doing? We're opening up a can of worms with a fan base that is ready to argue until the death.
But I'm just saying
that this was the right decision to make.
And it was the right decision for Philadelphia to come in, scoop him up, make him the focal point of their offense. Whether A.J. Brown agrees, Devontae Smith agrees, Dallas Goedert agrees.
He's definitely hurting A.J. Brown's stock.
He is the focal point of this offense.
He's number one offensive
And the
weapon.
only way they're going to win next Sunday is if he has another one of those Barkley games.
I don't know if he will against his defense, bro.
It's going to be tough, but I'm not giving no predictions out yet because I need to see practices and all that other fun stuff. Just understand Saquon Barkley is the most important cog in that wheel. He is the reason why the school bus keeps going round and round.
Does he get stuck in the mud on Super Bowl Sunday?
We're going to find out.
That's the big question. On his birthday, might I add. It's going to be Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles, part 2 of a matchup that we got two years ago.
So it's relatively fresh.
You know,
the wounds are still there for them.
They should be. The what's it called? The bulletin material, as they say.
There's a lot of pressure on Kansas City and Philly. Kansas City's trying to become the greatest team ever, supposedly, because of a three-peat. And Philly is trying to finish the story. Yeah. So knock it off with we're the Avengers. You're not the Avengers. You're Cody Rhodes. And you're going up against the Bloodline. So what are you going to do? What do you want to talk about?
It's two villains. Oh, Drewski with the first comment of the night. What's going on, brother? Glad that you're here. We are back. All those W's, dog. That's a little excessive.
Drew.
But nonetheless, I'm glad that you're here. The first one to check in for tonight. You said you had questions. We may or may not have the answers. We do have our Super Bowl matchup figured out for the time being. We do know for a fact, based off of what we saw this past week, and not just that, the crazy things that transpired in the divisional round, the Detroit fan base. I mean, I got a question. Do you guys still think this is your best season ever? Because this is rough. Like we're now almost two. Which one was though? What would you pick?
I would say last year's season was better. They made it to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah. Right. Wouldn't that make more sense? They went to the NFC title game. You know, this year it was just about them being able to say that they got the 1 seed.
But not only the Philadelphia, like we're looking at the Philly aspect, and nobody really thought they were getting back here when you started the year. Yeah, you had them there, but everybody had Detroit back.
I didn't expect you guys to get this far. I thought you guys were going to be a wild card team. I'm going to say it right now. My NFC title game was Rams versus Lions, and the Eagles did their part in eliminating one of those two. I got my Super Bowl half right. I had the Chiefs in there already. My other pick was going to be the Rams. Philadelphia Eagles inserted themselves into that position, so kudos to you.
So kudos, but let's take a flip side. Washington got their doors blown off on them, but it also showed the youngness in that team.
It did. It showed
inexperience.
It showed in the first drive when you make 2 4th-down conversions and then you don't go for it on that third.
Yeah, I didn't understand.
To just punch it in. At that point,
I flipped the channel and I went right back to watching The Sopranos.
You go for the kill. You punch it in, because all you did was you get your field goal, and then literally 18 seconds later, Saquon Barkley breaks for like a 70-yard rushing touchdown, which is like, again,
I've been
Giants,
on, like,
I get that this is not the solution to your problems, but you just created more problems for yourself within your own division because of where he ended up going and the MVP caliber season that he just had. And the fact that now you look at that division and you say to yourself, the Eagles and the Commanders are going to be competing for the next couple of years. Can we say the same about the Giants? Can we say the same about the Cowboys? No. You set one of the team that you hate the most, probably at this point. The team that you hate more than any other team, you set them up for success.
Future success for the next couple of years.
Better than you could have done for anybody else.
They were set up for success. But it's always been about his health. This is only his third full healthy season in the NFL. But what an unbelievable season he's had. Go back to Washington. Washington's inexperience showed up. Nobody expected Washington to make an NFC Championship game this year.
Well, Drew just
Which
asked,
now
how did they destroy the Lions, though? I didn't understand the Lions.
the Lions
downfall.
had a lot of injuries.
The Commanders went out there and they played with their house money.
Yeah.
And they went out there, and this was the first time
no
that the
rookie
Commanders
quarterback has ever started a Super Bowl. The streak continues.
This was the first game that the Commanders didn't have to play from behind when they went to Detroit. They went to Detroit, they took the lead, they kept the lead, and the Lions were just off balance from that point. Like, now you're playing catch up to a team
Washington was able, Daniels was able to evade the pocket, make plays on the run. In this game, it appears that, I'll be the first to say I didn't watch much of this game at all. I haven't watched a lot of playoff football. I'm just going to be honest.
I watched all of it, folks.
I've been turned off.
I saw it all go down.
And everybody knows how agitated why I needed the detox.
The Philadelphia Eagles went up 14-3 because of Saquon Barkley's legs.
I did see that because I'm getting the alerts on my phone. I'm watching the highlights. Overall, it was just too much for them. Now, this is what I will say about Washington. It's like when Daboll took over for the Giants, they exceeded expectations that first season. And since then, it's been a backstep and a backstep. Washington's first season has over-exceeded expectations. The question is are they going to take a step back or step back? Because now, entering the 2025 season, the Washington Commanders will have expectations on them. Some teams
tougher schedule
don't rise to the level of those expectations. How many times did we put the Cleveland Browns in that list? Oh, this is it. The Browns are about to blow. Like, they got, and then
on this podcast that we've been doing for 8 years, I think that we put the Browns on that list one time. That being me,
season,
because you were not having it. I remember having a tough time trying to just bring up their name.
Everybody put the Browns on the pedestal again after last season, and look what happened. The Giants. I thought the Giants were going to be a better team last year. Not this past season. I'm talking after the playoff year. They won a playoff game. They got beat by Philly. I said, oh, shit. Like, this is a step in the right direction for them. And it went differently. So that's why I say, like, with certain, like Detroit had their run last year. I mean, a couple years ago, and they had that where they turned it around. They were like 1-something, and then they finished 9-8. They went then to the next year. They had expectations. They went to the NFC title game. They had expectations. They made the playoffs again. It didn't turn out the way it was, but they're another one of those teams that the expectations were there, but they got to the playoffs.
I mean, this year's
Washington, with the cap space they have, all eyes are going to be on them. Everything's going to be on them. It's just like how everybody was on C.J. Stroud when the season started. Wow, C.J. Stroud rookie season. It's going to be the same thing for Jaden Daniels next season. The expectation is going to be there for him to perform. So, with that said, do I think he'll perform? Yes. However, you finish the second place, you're going to get a second place schedule. Now, next season, I believe they're going to play
Falcons.
I think they're playing
Falcons, Vikings.
The AFC South, so that should help.
Oh, they're going to get a couple wins there, dog. You're going to get a couple wins.
They got to play the Vikings. Okay. They got to play the 49ers. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to play the Falcons, and they're going to play their division in a couple other games. Their schedule's going to be a little tougher. So I don't want to sit here and say Jaden Daniels has arrived in the NFL. I think he's a good quarterback. He has a bright future. I'm not anointing anybody right now.
Chris.
So what I am saying is I don't want to get hyped and put the Commanders on the scare, and then they do to me what the Giants did to me that following year where they were terrible.
I didn't overhype the Giants after they made the playoffs, though. I needed to see more. And when you look back on that, most of the highlights of that season are going to be from Saquon Barkley. Yes, it was Daniel Jones' best season, but having a Saquon Barkley there helped to make things just run a little bit more smooth. So everything that we're seeing right now transpire before us, you can trace back to Hard Knocks and that moment, that time that they spent in that office when his son told him, you should draft Jaden Daniels. And his intern said, you should re-sign Saquon Barkley. All the good gems of advice. I'm sorry.
We're not, Chris.
We're
not making fun of you like that.
It's part of the story, bro.
The part of the story is the fact that you allowed him to walk. He went to the Eagles, and the Eagles have become a juggernaut.
And they're going to be good next year. And the Commanders are going to be good next year because of the fact that, yes, the schedule is going to get a little bit more harder for the Commanders. The Commanders have a shit ton of cap space that they're going to be able to use to the Commanders as a franchise and an organization have all of a sudden become one of the apples of the eye as far as the NFL and as far as free agency and players wanting to go to that organization and be a part of what they've got going on.
Do you know the only team in Philadelphia not to congratulate the Eagles was the Sixers?
So lame.
You know why, right?
Why? The Washington Commanders
is owned by the
Sixers. That's a conflict of interest right there. That's so petty, bro. That is so petty. I mean, the Commanders are by far more successful than the Sixers because the Sixers haven't even sniffed an Eastern Conference Finals, and the Commanders actually went to their first NFC title game in 33 years.
Hey, you got to be a pretty bad team to lose to the Sixers, huh? Los Angeles.
But as far as the Commanders go, when we're having the conversation, like we break down the NFC East, how much closer are the Cowboys to getting better with the new coaching hire that they just made? They are living in Jerry Jones' world. That is Jerry world more than we ever thought. And it's a cave, a dark cave with fire coming out of the walls and nobody can escape.
At least I know what I'm in for next season. 9-8, 10-7, first one and done. I know it. I'm cool with it.
Everybody knew the talent Saquon had and not blaming the pick, but he was only able to show splashes on our team. Just think we could have had Parsons and Sexy Dexy. You guys could have had Josh Allen. You know, like if we're playing the what if game, and then who knows if Josh Allen's development is still the same if he ends up getting drafted by the New York Football Giants. It's all about like who's where at the right time. You know, like we know that was a hell of a draft class that you guys picked Saquon in. And we know, okay, maybe picking a running back where you picked them wasn't the right decision. But at what point do you try to make the best of your situation? You know, like you just recently won a playoff game. We're not talking about like some teams who haven't won a playoff game in years. Like you guys won a playoff game 2 years ago. And then a lot of things just started happening after that. And half of the Giants fan base, which is only a small morsel of the entire football fan base, as far as all 32 teams and everything that we agree and disagree on, believe that giving Danny that money was the right thing. That's a very small portion of people. And he showed you very quickly that it wasn't. But a rookie Tyrone Tracy and an old Devin Singletary are not going to do for you what a Saquon Barkley was going to be able to do for you. You know, the bit of experience that
they would have been better off. I mean, we play revisionist history with this segment for now a year, and the problem is they should have never. They know they should have never paid Jones.
It makes you realize
they'd have been better off giving Barkley the extension. Let this guy walk and just
get him out of here.
They could have signed a guy like.
You could be laughing at somebody else who ended up wanting to give him that type of money. That is true. I just always been a defense first kind of guy. But that's how we slayed the beast twice in 4 years. The trenches, bro.
They empowered a guy who's he's gonna be with the Eagles for the next 2 more seasons after this, because they could get rid of him after the 4th year. By then, you know, he may have tailed off by then.
I remember us doing our predictions for the NFC East.
I didn't think he was going to stay healthy the whole year either. I was wrong on that too.
Dog, I picked Dallas to win before they ended up getting Saquon
had the
Barkley.
Eagles winning the division, and then you convinced me with your argument. Like, damn, you're right.
That was a good one. I was trying. I felt like it made so much sense.
But now I'm sorry.
Yo,
this whole no team wins the East 2 years in a row.
That's over.
Is crazy. The most you can do, what is it, 1 year?
Something always happens.
So are the Eagles going to do it next season?
Happens. Do the Commanders win the division next year? Can you imagine? Commanders winning the NFC East next year? And we get I feel as though we're going to get another Commanders versus Eagles.
Well, this is what's going to happen when we do that prediction and we don't pick the Eagles to win the division. Everybody's going to be like, oh. But when we mention about, hey, no teams won it 2 years back to back, it don't matter. But they're the same fans that mention it to us.
It does, like what I've noticed about fans is it doesn't matter up until it affects their team, and then it matters. Oh, you can't just say that. You can't just say back-to-back division wins. You gotta look at history. But when their team has a shot to change history, you throw the history books out the window because they don't want to hear any of that. All right? Just like if your team right now is not competing in the Super Bowl, a lot of you probably think, oh, it's rigged, the refs. But the refs weren't stopping Dalton from Kincaid from catching that wide open pass.
That was a tough.
There was no Kansas
Let's
City.
Let's be honest. That was a tough.
That's your fault for tripping over your own feet, dog. There was no defender near him. What were you doing?
That play was busted from the start. As a veteran quarterback, why did he not change the protection at the line of scrimmage? You know the blitz is coming. Don't sit here and all you Josh Allen defenders out there, especially Dan Orlovsky, you know the blitz is coming. Why are you not changing the protection? You can see where it's being loaded at.
I'm going to tell you right now. Did you watch the beginning of that game?
I didn't watch the first half of that game. I saw the whole second half.
That first drive, Josh Allen damn near fumbles twice in the first drive. He's already being very loosey-goosey with the football to start the game. And I'm watching.
I'm tired of him getting a pass.
One of my dearest friends, Buffalo Bills fan, my boy Miguel, we were talking about it. I was calling him and the Bills. You're Cody Rhodes. I was telling him before the AFC title game, you're Cody Rhodes. By this time, the Eagles have had the Commanders handled. They had him in the bag. It was a done deal, and we're getting ready. We're getting ourselves hyped up for the AFC Championship matchup. We're having dinner. We're drinking beers. And I'm telling him, like, you guys are Cody Rhodes. This is your story to finish. And on the first drive of the football game, Josh Allen damn near fumbles twice in Kansas City. You don't understand? Like, the blood is in the water, dog. One of the most infamous
Buffalo Bills
on this podcast.
Pooped in their pants on Sunday.
They pooped their pants, bro. Singing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star in front of their parents.
You went for the same fourth down play over and over and over again. Did you not think they were going to be ready for it? I would have rather you put the ball in James Cook's hands, who was averaging damn near 6 yards a carry.
The refs weren't helping Hollywood Brown or Kareem Hunt, bro. You guys were getting beat.
You guys were getting beat by
the refs. You guys were getting beat by.
And everybody wants to keep talking about that final fourth down. Listen, he didn't convert.
He didn't cross the line, bro. They had
his jersey crossed.
They had him. they had him. All right. Hate to break it to
you. At first, I was like, "Yo, he got it," but then I looked down and like, "All right." However, I will say this: the Dalton Kincaid catch on third down that gave that fourth down, I thought that was a first down. His knees weren't down when he dropped on the ball. Like, I thought he got spotted short. But Mr. McDermott doesn't challenge.
He doesn't. They hurry back up to the line. They run a play. Nothing is done. What are you doing? You're right there.
Why not play action pass and throw it to the back
You scared to lose a timeout? Is that your worst fear at this point in time? Are you in your head like Josh Allen was? I think
we gotta come and acknowledge.
You gotta remember when Josh Allen loses, McDermott is losing too. Andy Reid is out coaching McDermott in these big moments, in these big spots.
And it's not like it's not like it's an impossible task. They have the talent to do it.
Absolutely.
And they should have done it.
This was probably one of Josh Allen's best years. It's like top 2 seasons for Josh Allen as far as what he's been able to accomplish.
It makes me say to myself,
with no true wide receiver,
would Baltimore have been a better matchup for the Chiefs?
No. The Chiefs would have beaten them by more. because the Ravens would have made more mental mistakes than the Bills made. The Ravens would have straight up fumbled the ball the same way they fumbled against Buffalo. Like there's no team in the AFC that is ready to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And the only team with the quarterback and the team that can sit here right now and say that they are still currently playing and have a win over the Chiefs is Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Them Bengals, as much of a mess as they are, when it comes down to them playing the Kansas City Chiefs, they flip a switch, bro. Let's not forget the fact that in the AFC title game, when they beat the Chiefs, they were down 21-3 when they did it. That win means a lot more now. The Bills never did that.
We're going to find – listen.
The Bills never did that.
We're going to find out.
If the Bills were down 21-3,
at
the
the
Chiefs –
end of this day, too, when people talk about dynasties, I still don't think the Chiefs' dynasty is amazingly better than the other dynasties.
They stopped feeding Cook. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm going to catch heat from Mikey
Cook
for this.
Is great.
Mikey's going to come at me for this. I still don't – when you think of dynasties, you think of plethora amounts of players. When I think about this Chiefs team, I think about Pat Mahomes, and that's it. The reason they're winning is because they have the best quarterback of all time, pretty much.
Best coach in the game right now, too.
Because
Andy Reid's the best coach.
If you put this Chiefs team against the Patriot teams beat them. Plain and simple. You put this Chiefs team against the Cowboys teams in the 90s, the Cowboys teams in the 90s are going to beat them. You put this team against the 49ers of the 80s, the 49ers of the 80s are going to beat them. The Steelers of the 70s. I'm not taking nothing away from what the Chiefs are doing. What they're doing is remarkable. Remarkable. But it's true what Mad Dog said earlier today on First Take. It's Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid, a little bit of Kelsey, and that's it.
I feel like it's more Andy Reid than anybody. I feel like this speaks volumes as far as Andy Reid and what he's done, his coaching ability, all the losses that he took when he was in Philly.
When you look at this team, how many Hall of Famers are on this team player-wise? 3 tops?
Spagnola, right there. Spagnola.
I don't know if anybody knows, but
Spagnola is a dog.
The Saints still haven't hired a coach yet.
No. What, these? Dog. There's no way, bro.
The Saints haven't hired a coach yet.
No, they haven't. They're still like $50 million in debt, right?
Is Spagnola the guy?
I don't know, man. Do you want to rip him away
from
what
defense.
They have going on?
I mean, dude's already. It's going to be what if he wins again? It's your 4th ring with the same, your 3rd ring with the same team.
5 rings in total as a defensive coordinator.
So,
but you know what? Why not just stay a coordinator? Why not just stay in your position? Because we've seen so many coordinators take those big jobs, get put on Front Street, and it doesn't work out for them.
You're right. I'm not saying you're wrong, but
it doesn't work out for them.
Sometimes,
why leave what's working?
If someone's going to offer you a shit ton of money.
You are talking about potentially being a part of the 3-peat in NFL history. You're going to just leave that to go where and do what? Beat the Chiefs? Yeah, I heard that story before. Everybody out there wants to prey on their downfall because you don't want to think to yourself that this team could really win this much. Guess what, guys? They are the Patriots of this generation. And until you beat them, you don't get to have those bragging rights over them. There's only 2 quarterbacks that have beaten those guys in the playoffs. It's Tom Brady, who's retired and on Fox News, and it's Joe Burrow, who, you know, the Bengals season this year was hell. Like, they had to deal with a bunch of shit. But those are the 2 teams that have actually been able to beat him on the big stage. Now, if this
3-peat happens, I'm going to put my conspiracy theory hat on. I'm not talking about cheating. If they do, in fact, win their 3rd in a row, do you see the NFL somehow saying, okay, you got 3. We're going to have to calm this down. We're going to have to throw a new team out there to win next year so that we don't lose interest in our product.
Look, there's a good chance that we might see Eagles and Chiefs in a Super Bowl again. down the line because of how shit is set up.
Because look what happened with the Patriots in the early 2000s. It was like 10 years in between they won one. It's like, okay.
You know what? For the people out there who say that they're not going to watch the Super Bowl because it didn't pan out the way that they wanted, the NFL is not going to lose any money because you choose not to watch. The NFL is going to continue to make millions upon millions, regardless of what the Super Bowl is, because people are going to watch, because that's how people are programmed. You want to sit there and complain. You don't put your tinfoil hats on and your conspiracy theorist hats on up until your team is out of the picture, because when your team is in it, it's all about believing in the dream, right? You know, you had a dream. Buffalo Bills last week had a dream. This is their chance to be in their 5th Super Bowl. This right here, beating Kansas City, I said it when I went live on Sunday before the games kicked off. If the Bills would have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs, it would have been the biggest victory in that franchise's history to date. All the other 4 are Super Bowl losses. This is a victory that we're talking about. You didn't get the job done. It's unfortunate.
You know,
but at the end of the day, this machine keeps going whether you choose to tune in or not. And at the end of the day, everybody's going to tune in because just like in wrestling, you want to see if somebody's going to be able to knock the Chiefs off. That is the most important storyline right now in the NFL.
They've been a lucky team in the aspect of health too. During this run of theirs, I'll give credit where credit's like, they've been healthy. Like they haven't been dealt with blows.
I feel like this guy, he just throws it to whoever, bro. Like it's weird.
Like
man.
How many times our quarterbacks miss time? Like this guy misses no time.
Oh, I wish my quarterback missed more time with some of the shit he was doing early in the season.
What they're doing is remarkable and it's awesome, but we're going to find out next week.
You know what's remarkable and awesome? The way that the Chiefs defense has played and won them games the last 2 years. And that's a credit to Steve
Offensively,
Spagnuolo.
they haven't been that good.
No.
It's just they keep them in the game, and at the right moment, you still have the best quarterback in the league who play here, play there, and it's over. I also think the Chiefs are in Josh's head. Like, Josh, maybe you should lose to them in the regular season so that you can win in the playoffs, because you beat them all the time in the regular season. There's no one's arguing about that. What we're arguing about is the fact that you're just not beating them when it really, really matters.
When it was 22-21 in the 4th quarter and the Bills were driving and they were up by 1, there was a point in time when I said to myself, like, yo, like, he's really going to finally do it this time.
I thought that was the drive that he was going to put the dagger in the heart.
And now, after watching that game and watching how it played out, like, I don't know if he's ever going to be able to do it. I don't know if he can do it.
The look on his face at the end of the game.
Just air it out. Completely
deflated. I mean.
Air it out, bro.
The look on his face was like, am I ever going to do this?
That's still going to be there when you go into the playoffs.
The sad part is it looked like he was questioning himself. Like something like this, you could lose your confidence as a man, not even just as a football player, but as a man.
It affects everything. It affects everything.
It's like, what do I have to do? This year, I didn't go crazy playing reckless, and I still lost.
I'm telling you, that first drive was very telling. When I watched that first drive, and I watched the snap from the center, and then he screws up it almost was a fumble Chiefs ball 1 minute into the football game. And when I saw that, I said to myself, because with football, you see this stuff play out. You know when somebody's ready to beat somebody else. That's a team that I
know, it's not flashy to say right now.
Leave the Chiefs to go to the Saints. Yeah, that's great.
That's a team that next year, if the Bills were to go 7-10, I wouldn't sit here and be like, oh, shit. Like, I wouldn't be surprised.
Remember when I picked them to decline this year? What if this is the reason why next year is what contributes to their decline?
I'm just saying.
Like, how many more years?
It wouldn't shock me, bro.
Like, how many more years can you do this?
The only thing helping the Bills is the East sucks. However, the Dolphins finish with a losing season, I believe, so they might have, Mike McDaniels might get, his easy schedule that can help him reel off wins. And we don't know what the Jets are going to do. Defensively, the Jets are still a good team. I like the energy that Aaron Glenn was bringing in his press conference.
We need to save that division for last next year.
And Mike Grable's going to have the Patriots competing.
Yeah, they're going to be in it.
I still would not be surprised if that is in white, silver, and blue next year.
I might get myself a Patriots jersey. My boy, bro.
I wouldn't surprise me.
My boy.
Because who's to say he's going to want to continue to play for them if they're going to keep running the ball like this?
Oh, you meant A.J. Brown?
Yeah.
To the Patriots? Woo! You give Drake May, A.J. Brown, and that's going to elevate all those other young wide receivers that we ignore on a daily basis.
That elevates the Patriots to actually winning.
Polk, Booty, all those guys.
Because their defense isn't bad. That's what I'm saying. The Patriots are 2 or 3 players away. They have the coach now. The Jets are a quarterback away. The Dolphins just got to get their shit figured out because they actually have talent on that team.
I feel like we were pretty high on the AFC East this year.
So that's why I say
Dolphins. I went with the Jets. But what if we were a year ahead?
Yeah, like
what if we were a year ahead on that division?
This is a type of loss, bro, that could really damage a team's psyche. Because this is now, what, the 4th year in a row? 2020.
Well, no, Bengals beat them in between that.
Remember, the Bengals beat them in 2022. Mm-hmm. So, but
4 out of the last 5 years, it was losses to the Chiefs and 1 to the Bengals. The only guy currently playing that has actually beaten the Kansas City Chiefs when it mattered. Like that.
But the problem for people who are hoping he's the one that slays, they can't get their organization right.
What do you think is more likely, A.J. Brown or T. Higgins to the Patriots?
A.J. Brown.
It feels like the Patriots are going to make a splash move at wide receiver no matter what. Of course, A.J. Brown's the big fish, and that would be and Vrabel never wanted to trade him. It all comes together, dog. Sometimes it doesn't come together when it's on your team. It comes together somewhere else.
Ramondre
Vrabel
Stevenson
was sick when we traded him.
Hunter Henry, who started to put up passing numbers finally after being turned into a blocking tight end the last couple of years.
Hulk, Booty.
Yeah, like all you put AJ there, Kendrick Bourne.
They got like Kendrick Bourne. They've got like 4 or 5 receivers already who are good. And now you insert AJ Brown into that. And who's to say the Patriots don't go out there and take a swing at one of these young running backs that are coming in from. This is a running back draft class. The Patriots love to run the ball. They could go out there and get themselves a Judkins, get themselves a Travion Davis.
I don't think the AFC East is a slam dunk win for the Bills next season.
Well, they had 5 years, and they blew it. They had their time. The NFL window closes faster than any other sport anywhere. You had your window of opportunity. You didn't take it. You blew it. You lost to the same team over and over and over. But the difference is the loss this year hits a lot harder than the losses in other years.
This one's bad.
This one makes you feel as though,
I thought they had it.
Is never going to get over the hump.
I picked the Bills twice in the football pool. I picked, I got the right matchup in the other one I picked, but I'm out of the football pool because of the points, because everybody decided to score a shit ton of points this weekend.
As a
compared
fan,
to years past.
Like as a fan watching the game, I'm not a fan of the Bills.
I felt bad.
I'm not a fan of the Chiefs.
I legitimately felt bad for Josh Allen. I've never felt that way for an opposing player in my life.
5 minutes into the game, when I saw the first drive and how it played out, I said to myself, this don't feel good. And I'm watching with a diehard Bills fan, and he's watching, and he's just like, he's lived this movie already, and he's already just like, because he's seeing things that when you are going up against your Goliath, you don't want to see, bro. Like those quick mental errors that are being made where, at any moment, the Chiefs are better than anybody at capitalizing on your mistakes. And when you're willing to make those mistakes so early in the football game, what do you think's going to happen, bro? On their side, I feel like Kansas City rushed Pacheco back too soon, and he doesn't look right. There's a good chance that Pacheco might be done as far as, and I know I might catch heat for saying that, but you got to think about the organization that he's in. Like, who's the last running back that the Chiefs paid? They will utilize a running back how they want to utilize a running back and make it work. Right now, they've got old man Kareem Hunt out there as their running back one, and he's out there scoring touchdowns in the AFC Championship games. And I feel as though in the Super Bowl a week and a half from now, Kareem Hunt is going to be their RB1 again, and he is going to be in the end zone again. It's just they are going to use you the way they want to use you. They rushed this kid back. Maybe he needs a year, and he'll be back to running violently how he does. I'm just saying, so far, what he's done since he's been back has been forgettable. Let's be real here, man. Yeah, Pacheco has done nothing since he came back. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say it that way, but it's one of those things where I feel like it's on the organization and the fact that they
got him
rushed
in
him
Dynasty,
back.
sell high.
They rushed him back. Oh, I think Terrell's got him. So
there's nothing to sell high.
He's got to figure out.
Fourth round pick.
He's got to figure it out. Hunt has been undervalued the past couple of years. Bro, I just watched Kareem Hunt and Hollywood Brown get the Chiefs to a Super Bowl, bro. Like, Patrick Mahomes doesn't need a real wide receiver one. DeAndre Hopkins might go out there and go off in the Super Bowl this year. Like,
and never forget, Kareem Hunt was sitting at home. Think the Cowboys could have used him?
Until they get a running back, I can't take them serious, man.
Me either.
There's just no way. Like I'm worried about the Dallas Cowboys. I'm seeing 7-10 in their forecast for next year. Not even in the hunt. They're not. The NFC is too crazy right now for what their bullshit. They're going to spend a couple years missing Mike McCarthy because of what they're about to deal with.
And McCarthy's taking a year off.
And you got a super competitive NFC North, a super competitive NFC West, and an NFC East where at best you're the third best football team. The Cowboys aren't going to be better than the Commanders next year. They're not. They're just
Commanders
not.
going to have $100 million in cap space to spend, but you can't spend all that money on free agency. You also got to lock up players in your own.
And also the fact maybe they draft good next year.
That's another thing you got to draft as well.
Maybe they draft good.
We're gonna listen.
You have the opportunity is there. They done nobody like my sleeper team.
I feel like these teams that didn't, that faltered on Sunday are. I feel more confident in the Commanders continuing the uprise than I do the Bills. I feel like the Bills are due for that bad season. And I feel bad because this was it. This was your shot, and you blew it.
I said it on Sunday.
Just like last year was their shot. Last year they had them in Orchard Park.
Yeah.
In Orchard Park, and they blew it.
You're right. They changed the overtime rule for you guys.
Yeah. If anything, the league's done everything they could to help you.
I said in a couple weeks, I think this is the worst team Daniels will play on with the Commanders. They're going to get better. Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, he went to the NFC title game without having a true wide receiver, too. His wide receiver, too, was Zach Ertz.
Giants got the third pick in the draft, right?
Yes. It's Titans, Browns, Giants. And this right here is the part of the season where I turn to you as far as what happens now as far as the teams, who they draft, how this plays out. We have
I don't think the Giants are going to stay at 3. I think the Giants are going to trade back.
Well, that'll make somebody we know happy. At least one of them.
Because Cam Ward's going to be the number 1 overall pick, I think. And then I think Cleveland's going to take Shador. So at that point,
it's my AJ Brown jersey, bro. How did you realize that 46 minutes into the pod?
It's going to be interesting. I can't wait.
You think we draft Cam Ward?
The Senior Bowl's happening right now. All the practices are going on. Some of the guys are looking good. Some of these quarterback stocks are gonna go up. I can see Jackson Dart stock going up. I can see Howard stock going up.
Milroe, what's that guy's name?
Milroe's stock is bad right now.
I like Milroe.
He's very raw.
I like Milroe.
He reminds me of Malik Willis.
I am very interested in seeing where he ends up, bro, because I'm very curious to see how his career pans out. But I fuck with Milroe, dude. I like Milroe. It depends on where you land sometimes.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is, we're talking about this year's draft. We're talking about the need for quarterbacks. These young kids are going to get opportunities a lot faster than some of these other quarterbacks.
You want to draft another defensive lineman? Damn, Chris.
Carter from Penn State. Get a bridge quarterback. What would be your ideal bridge quarterback? Would it be Sam Darnold?
Nah.
Would it be Justin Fields?
Darnold's going to get paid.
I think the Vikings keep him. As we get closer to that portion of free agency, as we get closer to free agency, why would you let that walk away? You know, you have Sam Darnold and you have the sophomore rookie.
I would not blame the Vikings for letting him walk if he wants like $40 million a year. I don't blame them at all.
Just pay him.
No. You drafted J.J. McCarthy last year. He's the future. If you got to run Daniel Jones for a year, you run Daniel Jones for
anybody
a year.
But Derek Carr. I mean, you said the market was the market, bro.
It doesn't matter. You don't pay that.
Was the market.
No. Somebody around here's got to be smart enough to realize not to do this. And also, I've read a lot about Derek Carr to the Giants. I've seen that in multiple places, that the Giants are keeping tabs to see if he's going to be available. They look at him as a guy that could be the bridge. It ain't going to be long term. Whoever they pick is going to be a 2-year deal.
Russ. They're going to pick Russ. 2 years.
He's a Pro Bowler.
They're going to pick Russ, bro.
Oh, that would be excellent.
Trade for him, though.
That would be excellent. You could probably get Carr for a 4th-round pick. He ain't going for anything higher. And then Alexi could finally have the guy that he thought was elite all these years.
I'm very intrigued to see.
He would be a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. Or what you guys got right now. Like, he's going to throw the ball.
They don't have a quarterback right now.
That's why I could see Derek Carr becoming the guy for a year or two.
So can the New York Giants take that 103 pick, get some picks back for it?
I would trade that pick, get some multiple 1st-rounders.
Move back.
Try to pick the best lineman, and offensive lineman in the draft.
And then sign a free agent. We don't got should accept the veto.
I could see Carr, man. Carr's going to wind up with one of these New York teams.
Justin Fields.
And then the whole Aaron Rodgers. Where does Aaron Rodgers go?
Justin Fields is a wild card because he's going to go to a quarterback-needy team, and it's not going to be long before we see him end up starting on that quarterback-needy team. So you've got the Raiders, you've got the Giants. The Cleveland Browns are not going to start Deshaun Watson next year. Deshaun Watson ruptured his Achilles again. He's going to need another surgery. They don't have a
Deshaun
starting
Watson might get his
quarterback
contract
at this moment. So
Deshaun Watson might get his contract null and void.
yeah, they're going to find a way out of that. And we're looking at a situation where they could be one of the teams, because like if your name is Shador Sanders or Cam Ward, it sounds like you're starting next year, buddy. And right now they're in the 3 spot, and they have a very high probability of drafting one of those 2 players as of right now, depending on how this shit plays out. Because I don't think it's going to be Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And I feel as though Jameis Winston is going to be another name that ends up getting signed somewhere else, because this is a quarterback needy year that we're heading into in 2025, in a year where in the draft itself, it is a running back class. You're not going to get your quarterback in this draft. There's 2.5 guys, okay? There's Sanders, there's Ward, there's Dart, there's Milrow. All right?
Will Howard.
And who knows what's going to happen to these guys, because wherever they go is going to determine their fate for the rest of their lives. Like, this is not the draft for finding your guy as far as a quarterback, unless you're willing to give up a haul to those teams that are sitting in the top 3 or 4.
Maybe Aaron Rodgers puts the blue and red on.
I think it goes back to the Jets. I think the Jets run it back.
I could see him signing with Tennessee, too. He got a house out there.
I don't know. Even though that's our forte, is getting free agents and getting vets, and then we go to the AFC title with veterans. At this point in time right now, I don't know what I want. I personally like the idea of taking that 101 and trading it for as much as we can get. The organization, with all these new hires, and all these new suits that have come in, they've said we are not going to pass up on a generational talent at number 1. But I don't know what that means. That doesn't mean we're going to draft a quarterback. That's the thing about my team. Like, I don't know what that means when you say that. That means nothing to me. Like, we could draft Travis Hunter. Oof. At 1-1, and just, what do you play? Are you playing quarterback or are you playing wide receiver? Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Like, I don't know right now, bro. I don't know. I have never been looking forward to a draft more than I have heading into this season, because
Bucky Brooks just did his first mock of the year, mock 1.0. Bucky has the Tennessee Titans selecting Shador Sanders. He has the Browns taking Abdul Carter. He's got the Giants taking Cam Ward.
Okay.
The Patriots taking Hunter.
Chris thinks Tennessee's taking Hunter too, bro. Like, that's not just rumor and innuendo. Like,
Jaguars
take
a defensive tackle, Mason Graham. They got the Raiders taking a wide receiver, Tatara McMillan. They got the Jets taking Will Campbell, tackle. Panthers, Michael Williams, edge. Well, that seems like that. They got the Saints taking Walker, the edge. The Bears taking an offensive tackle. Will Johnson, the corner, going to San Fran. Number 12, he's got Dallas, and what you envision, Aston Gentry.
Do the right thing for yourselves, you fucking idiots.
They got Tyler Booker, the guard from Alabama, going to Miami. Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State, going to the Colts. Shamar Stewart, defensive lineman, going to the Falcons. Pierce he's got tight end Colston Loveland from Michigan going to the Bengals. Ooh, imagine this one. Emeka Ibuka, the wide receiver from Ohio, going to Tampa, where they already got McMillan. They're already
talking about Chris Godwin being gone from there. So now you're talking about Ibuka, Evans, McMillan together as far as what they've got going on out there. And that, Chris, right there is what worries me. Hunter's the only top guy I see people using the term generational. Like, why did you say generational? What do you mean? Like, why are you saying
what does that mean?
Yeah, like, why are you saying that? Like, why are you using that phrase? Like, we're not going to pass up on a generational talent. Like, what does that mean for us as a fan base after everything that we've been through ever since the choke job against Cincinnati and trading away A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles for peanuts? Like, what does that mean for us, bro? We're going to draft this kid that plays wide receiver and cornerback. What, we're going to let him
Is
play
he going to play
both?
both?
Like, what is he going to do? Like, what are we are we talking about a Deion Sanders type of guy? Like, what are we doing?
Oh,
bro?
shit.
What are we doing?
That should be a technical.
We're looking live at Sixers versus
Is that a flagrant?
Sixers versus the Sacramento Kings. I couldn't tell they were the Kings because they're wearing the Clippers colors right now.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Sixers with the throwback Sixers jerseys, Kings with Clippers jerseys on. Big slate of NBA action right now.
I love draft season. I can't wait to start looking at the mocks.
We got the old money mock coming. That's one of the staple traditions of this podcast. One of the foundations of this podcast. Never forget that we sat here. What was it? The one year where you had your picks and we were doing something else too. Like,
we were talking NBA.
We were talking NBA while watching a live game.
We were watching the draft.
Picks.
The actual draft was taking place as we were doing the podcast. So it was a watch along. Plus, we were.
And you know what's crazy? When you read off some of the names on that mock right there, you only read off one running back, and that shows you the crazy difference in the values because these running backs are going to fly off the board. There's a lot of
good running backs.
This is the running back class. There's Hampton. There's Judkins. You know, there's a lot of other guys outside
Ohio
of
State's running back.
Judkins,
Iowa State's running back. You know,
there's a lot of dogs out there, bro. There's a lot of dogs out there. There's Ted McMillan. You know, there's what's his name? Ludwig, what's his name?
Ludwig Heiser.
No, the other kid. Oh, I can't think of his name, but he's a dog too, bro. Like it is.
There's some players,
amazing,
man,
bro. It is amazing. It's a listen. Football is about to be over, but this is an amazing time for sports fans, for fans of everything that goes down in the off season as far as the NFL, the preparation leading into the next season. Baseball's right around the corner. Like this is huge. I'm taking off for the draft. I'll be here.
Yeah, you got a lot.
I'll be here for the draft because I need to see what happens. I need to see how this plays out. We have the 101 as of right now, and I need to see how this plays out before my eyes. I'm not going to be at work because the last time I was at work for the draft, we traded A.J. Brown. Not going to do that. Not going to do that to myself.
All depends where these guys go to.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
It's going to make us look at them differently because of the organization that you end up going to. You know, like how are we going to look at the kid that gets drafted by the Raiders, right? How are we going to look at the kid that gets drafted by the Browns? You know, like it counts against them, bro. Pete Carroll is now with the Raiders, right? So like how, like, we're going to miss the boat on a lot of things.
I trust the Raiders more now with Pete Carroll there.
We're not going to be willing to take our chances on some things that we're going to see, and we're going to miss the boat on some things. The fact that he's over there now is crazy. But again, Raiders, quarterback needy team. So we know what your main focus should be. We're talking about generational. You've got a guy in Brock Bowers. You've got a Jacoby Myers who's great. Jacoby Myers had a great season, you know? You've got a couple of young running backs who you're not paying anything to. Who maybe they dip their hand in the running back pot and they draft themselves one. But you need a quarterback, and we know that. So,
agreed.
Raiders, is it going to be the draft that gets your quarterback, or is it going to be free agency frenzy, do you guys end up bringing in a Justin Fields? You know, do you go in and say to yourselves and give that call to the Vikings or give that call to Sam Darnold and be like, we'll give you $40 million right now. We'll give you $41 million to be our quarterback. The payday of a lifetime. At this point in time, like, if you're Sam Darnold, like, this is what it's about. This is what it's about. You get paid, bro. We say we're all about players getting their money. Go get your money, bro. The Raiders are going to pay you.
Drake May. Yeah, we're going to find out.
Pete Carroll might want his boy back from Pittsburgh. Yuck. Oh, Russ to the Raiders.
There's been talks.
I know Oscar would love that. Oscar would love that.
I'm just trying to lose.
You guys aren't going to do it right, though, man. You guys don't know how to do what you think you want to do right now. You're not going to be able to do it correctly.
I mean, listen, I'm not mad if you bring Fields back, if Fields blows you out of the water with his play. Like, okay, well then, yeah, I'm not going to be mad at that. But I really got my heart, like, the quarterback class for next year is going to be even better.
2027, right?
2026.
2026.
Get my hand. I'd trade.
2026
I'd give up
be the
4
quarterback
first-round
class.
picks for Archie Manning.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
That's how serious I am.
Wow.
Everybody says, oh, you got a tank to get your quarterback. The Chiefs didn't tank to get Pat Mahomes. They just traded a shitload of picks to get him. It's worked out.
Yeah, 3 Super Bowls later. And then, of course, a lot of the teams that we're talking about being quarterback needy teams could still end up potentially being quarterback needy teams next year. We're assuming everybody's going to right their wrongs, but in the NFL, that's not what always happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have the draft, you have free agency, you have the conversations after where you say to yourself, this team still needs, like, how are they going to figure this out? You know, you still have, you know, when the season starts, the trade deadline going into week 7 or week 8, whatever it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. I don't know, man. It's a tough call. I saw a post saying Russ, Lockett, and Wagner all free agents, and for Pete to bring the band back together.
It's not a bad move if you're doing it to add veteran presence with a lot of young guys.
Yeah, because Crosby's not going to be there for the Raiders, potentially. Crosby's going somewhere. Max Crosby might end up somewhere else, greener pastures. He's going to end up being a Kansas City Chief or something. Like, he's going to end up going to be a part of a defense that's good. A part of a defense is going to make a difference. Like, there's talks of him being gone. And, of course, the Raiders want to make – like, the Raiders might not be good next year, but they're still going to want to make a splash move.
He'd already said,
You know?
It's going to take some time.
Yeah.
He goes, but by year 3, I know what I want. So you can't be mad at Pete for that.
You got to look out for them as far as the Archie Manning running. You know, because if they don't have the quarterback this year, they're
about that.
You know, Ryan Tannehill, like, maybe they, you know what I mean? Like, you got to, whatever name you could think of that's capable, you got to start saying to yourself, like, this is a possibility as far as, like, what they do when we're talking about bridge quarterbacks and just getting through to that next year. Sam Darnold, a bridge quarterback, but that bridge quarterback is about to get paid more money than he's ever been paid in his entire career. Like, he's about to make bank now by being a bridge quarterback. These guys are seeing this. They're watching. You know what I mean? It's a copycat league. This is how you get paid now. Sam Darnold has laid out a blueprint for a bunch of backups to go out there and get their money. Brock Purdy, you know, there's guys that are coming up for money now, and that's the next
going to be interesting
conversation.
To see how that plays out.
They're going to pay him. They're going to pay him. They got egg all over their face. What else? What are they going to do? Draft a guy? You know,
they are the Niners.
they don't want people to know what they're doing, but at the end of the day, at this point in time, this is their opportunity to be more
When
honest
does
than
Kyle
they've been in a long
Shanahan's seat
time.
get hot?
I don't know. Should be soon though. Because like at this point in time, like what are we doing, bro? Like this was a bad year for you. I say if they have like an early exit from the playoffs this next year, we're talking about Kyle Shanahan potentially.
Well, the thing with them is they either miss the playoffs, or when they make the playoffs,
NFC Championship. Yeah, they're a perennial NFC Championship contender.
Mm-hmm.
But it was hard for me to not include them in the NFC Championship this year. I went with the Rams over them. McCaffrey's still a question mark. Brandon Ayuk got paid big money. He's going to be back. They want to keep Deebo Samuel for this season. You've got George Kittle coming back. You've got all those young running backs that you were using when CMC was hurt. Running backs who you're potentially going to be using depending on his status, because as we know, this guy's out in Germany right now. He ain't 100% right now. So
we broke that on the pod last week.
Like the 49ers are one of those teams where, yeah, this year went bad, but you still have a lot of your key pieces locked in as far as contracts.
Brandon Ayuk will be back healthy.
And they're talking that they want to keep Deebo there.
Ricky Purcell's going to be Purcell should be another year in. He should be even better than he was last year.
Juwan Jennings.
They're going to be fine.
Samuel. The pieces are there for that football team. The defense is there. So I think I worry less about that football team compared to other football teams and what they've got going on and what their needs are, because there's a higher probability that the 49ers are going to be a competitive football team next year still.
I agree with you.
We all know where Archie is going. Relax. Oh, the Giants fan.
That's gonna be funny when he's not.
It should make for an interesting draft night, because those phone calls, as far as the trades that you make to try to move up to get them, should be very, very telling. Because after the fact, we're gonna get the story. What did you pass up on when you hung up that phone? What was that team willing to give you?
Archie also got to play lights out next season. Because if Archie doesn't play lights out, teams might be like, a little successful.
Yeah, college football is putting you under the microscope now with the college playoffs and all that. Like it's going to hurt your stock going into the draft. It's absolutely going to affect your stock and where you fall. But some teams want that. They want that. They want you to not have a good game, because they want that opportunity to be able to get you where they land without having to go up and give anything up for you. It's a value pick.
Yeah.
Archie Manning could potentially be a value pick or a reach. That's what we're talking about with this kid for 2026.
It could be either or.
Got a lot of food.
Looks like the Sixers are.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah, but
I believe that the 49ers core group is enough to keep them relevant and competitive. This was just a year. This was a bad year for them.
I agree with you.
There was too much shit going on for that football team this year, and things just didn't work out for them.
I agree with you 100%.
Next year, with everybody back, recharged, revitalized, maybe a healthy McCaffrey, we don't know, but we do know that this year proved more than any other year that this system is good for any running back out there. Garendo was winning weeks.
Yeah.
Jordan Mason was a league winner up until he got hurt. So, regardless of your name, to have a running back in that association, especially if we find news about CMC early in the season where he's not going to be able to go. If you have a Mason, if you have a Garendo, you're holding on to those guys because of the fact that that they're part of an organization that is going to feature you the right way, and you are going to run the football. Like,
I agree.
It's just the fact of life. Kid plays lights out against regular teams, but then contenders, he struggled.
He did.
And how much is that going to affect his stock? Like it's a weird situation. Like, how much does it really affect them? I think who do you think is drafted first, Ward or Sanders?
Ward.
I like Ward better, to be honest.
Prototypical. The size, the strength,
everything that you want. It's like a Lex Luger, you know, like everything that you want in the guy that you want to build around is there. Which to me, like if the Titans draft Cam Ward 1 overall, I wouldn't be mad at that. But the way that they were talking just makes me feel like I don't know what they're about to do. Like I really don't.
I don't think any of us know what they're gonna do.
I truly don't. I like Cam Ward. I like him more than Sanders. We draft Cam Ward, I'm willing to ride the wave. But now we're talking about how Will Levis is going to spend the next couple of months training with his quarterback guru and generational talent and not passing them up. And, bro, there's a good chance that we start Will Levis next year. Don't be shocked, bro. Don't be shocked if Will Levis is the starting quarterback for this football team next year. You just really don't know.
Mayo.
You really don't know.
Sandwich be good.
He's still got commercials, bro. Like it's outlandish. It's outlandish, dude. I know that draft night, I'll probably be sitting over there or right here with my phone in my hands, looking at the big screen, waiting to see how this plays out, knowing that everything that happens there is going to directly impact not just our teams, but our dynasty football teams, what our rookie draft looks like. Some questions being answered by the draft.
I'm going to make the same shit I did last year. Burgers and hot dogs.
Sounds lovely. Some questions being answered and some teams just making us ask more questions. Like when the Falcons drafted Bijan Robinson at 8 overall, when they didn't need to do that. They
needed offensive line help.
They didn't need to do that, and they did. There's always going to be that type of variable that you throw into
Tyler
the
Algier, who was more than adequate.
Like, who's the first trade that we see? You know, like, who's going to be, like, what does Dallas do? Like, do they wait patiently hoping that Genty's still there for them and they take him there? Do they forego drafting a running back and not learn from their mistakes from this past season? Like, Sanders, though, kid played lights out. Okay, I say Ward, but the spotlight around Sanders could blind the GM. Yeah. I'm just... I don't have a problem with Shedeur Sanders. I just don't like the hoopla, bro. I don't like the hoopla. It's not just you, it's your dad. You're inheriting a lot, bro. It feels like you're inheriting a TV show. And that's the last thing that my organization needs is hoopla, okay? We do plenty of that by ourselves with some of our decisions.
Deion Sanders will be the head coach of the Titans the next year.
They've made a lot of changes. We got a new GM, a new assistant GM, special teams coordinator. Like, they've changed a lot of things, which makes me believe that they're going to go all in on Callahan for at least another 2 years, a year and a half, depending on how this next year goes.
Unless
if Callahan
Shedeur
can get us 10 wins.
And Shedeur says, I want my dad.
What, as an advisor? Just have him there?
Nah, the coach.
I'm scared of that. Because that just means more uncertainty, more mess. Like, what makes you think primetime is the answer for us? What's he done in college football? Who's he beaten?
I mean, he did improve Colorado a lot from last year to this year.
Yeah, but that's not saying much.
Colorado's been a bum team, but he did get them a lot more because they were like 2-something last year. Like, he got them to a nice winning, respectable record. It's all about what he does this year to me. Like, how I'm going to judge him more importantly this year because now it's your third year. I expect with a 12-team playoff format, I expect you to find a way to get Colorado in there.
Yeah, dude, I don't do cheese on the burger, bro. I can't do it. I think for me personally, as a fan of the actual team, I just have PTSD. So I'm just afraid of what's coming. I don't know how to enjoy a good thing because the last good thing I enjoyed evaporated before my eyes too quick. We destroyed it ourselves. So I'm expecting the worst, expecting disappointment. I'm terrified. And we have the first pick overall. First time, I don't remember how many years it's been. The last time we had a pick this high, we went with Marcus Mariota. And, of course, we saw...
It wasn't a bad pick. He had a good career. Like, I don't think...
We didn't have our shit together.
Vrabel was ever, like, in with him.
He got hired when Mariota was already going into, like, year 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
He was just trying to make the best of the situation that he had.
Mariota had already won a playoff game as a quarterback.
You come across a Ryan Tannehill who's motivated to get his starting job back, and everything else just... We paid Tannehill in a year where we had the opportunity to get Tom Brady.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
I would have picked Brady over him.
Who wouldn't? Besides the Titans. Loyalty, though, right? Yeah.
Looks like the Sixers may win another game.
5 minutes left, up 10 on the Sacramento Kings. And this is we're kind of wrapping it up here on the pod with what we've got for the breakdown this week.
Now next week we're gonna talk the Super Bowl. Now next week we'll give predictions.
Matchups,
next week
deep dive.
We'll tell you who I think's winning, who he thinks is winning.
More off-season talk.
Eagles fans, you want to be on the podcast? Let me know. We'll see how much Bobby really does want to be on.
Some off-season predictions. Instead of waiting until August to give our predictions, we give some off-season predictions as far as some of the hot takes that we think are going to impact certain teams. Of course, we know that we're gearing up for the money mock draft of 2025 and who you think goes where. So more conversations as far as some of these players, what they've got going on, the stock value going up, the stock value going down, what could potentially happen to some of these players depending on some of the organizations that they go to.
Their pro days.
Like some of the conversations are going to stop on some of these guys based on who drafts them, and it's so unfair. It's so unfair, but it's a part of the game. It's
part of life.
Like it's a part of life.
Prove the people who are doing these evaluations on you wrong. That's all I can say about that.
Oh man. Ladies and gentlemen, next week we break down the Super Bowl. We give you a little bit of NBA, and we're one step closer to Major League Baseball.
Does Jalen Hurts and the Eagles finish the story? We'll break that down next week.
Do they finish the story? Until then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Chris, thanks for sticking with us and being the third man for tonight's podcast. Love you, buddy. We'll see what happens, man.